I'm Jesse Redmond. We're back in the fields at Salisbury Canyon Ranch with our CEO, Micah Anderson. Micah, what's going on, man?
Just standing in a field of weed again.
So, Micah, excited to talk about the plants we have in the ground right now, but why don't we get started recapping the summer harvest and share a little bit about the results there?
Yeah, so I guess this is kind of where we were standing the last time we shot this video. We ran roughly 65 acres in the spring. At the time, we did all one genetic. It was all meant for oil, so dry material for distillate production, so all one strain. It went well, it went good. We were stoked with the results. The fields did well, team did great. Scott, who was holding the camera, who you can't see, did a fantastic job, who actually should be standing here where I'm standing. No, it went good. Like, we honestly, for our first year, like, I think it was high fives all the way around. And one of the things that has been a benefit for us, historically in the past, we've always procured a bunch of different material from farms all over the place, which has gotten us to where we're at today. But one of the things that has been cool is having so much of the same exact thing. And so we've been able to hone in some efficiencies that we've never been able to do before in the extraction process itself through our ethanol line. And so we've seen just improvements across the board from yield and quality, potency, and all the rest. So it was great.
And the spring was different too, because you're running Autoflower. So people that don't know, can you explain what Autoflowers are and why we ran those?
Yeah, so autos, so these are all full-term feminized seeds. Autos are different in the way, how do I describe it? Basically, it doesn't, independent of the light cycle, doesn't matter how many hours of sunlight you have, the seed is programmed to start to flower no matter what. So even if you had 24 hours of sunlight, it's still going to flower. Whereas these photoperiods are different. As the light in the fall starts to wane away in terms of hours of sunlight in the day, you've got that's what kicks in the process, or where it feels like, oh, it's time to basically breed, right? Mm-hmm. So typically you'd have males and females, and these are all female plants to avoid seed production. And that's the difference. One's programmed to just do it automatically, and the other is not.
And I've heard you mention a few times that the fall or the summer harvest, I guess you call it the spring summer harvest for us, was more successful than you expected. What do you attribute to the success of what is not your first run as a cultivator, but our first run as LEEF Brands? I know sometimes that first run can be a little bit tricky.
Scott and the team doing this, I think the team did a great job. Of course, like this one, we're kind of like in the high desert elevation, so it's hot and not humid, so we're on the other side. You can't see it, but there's a big mountain range here. It keeps all the weather on that side of it. So there's certain things like that have worked in our favor. We're typically a little bit later right now in the year than you would normally want to be if you were a little bit more coastal. And so the fact that it's dry here has helped a bit. The soil performs super well. But I think the team did a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're back here. We're sitting out here. I guess it's early October right now. What are your expectations for the fall harvest? Do you expect things to look different, or kind of more the same for LEEF?
So fall harvest, I guess the main difference is that we've got a bigger, we planted a bunch of different strains. So this is where we'll focus a little bit more on our frozen production for the hydrocarbon line. It gives us more terp profiles for what the clients want. I can't remember exactly how many strains we have, to be honest with you, Scott. Do you remember off the top of your head? 26. Wow. There you go. Okay. So 26 different flavors. Potencies are typically a little bit higher in the fall than compared to autos. Just genetics is just something that you will see out of it, which is great. So we'll freeze some of it. We'll dry most of it. That sets us up rolling into next year just to have enough frozen material to be able to run the hydrocarbon line and our solventless line. So different products that we sell outside of the distillate stuff.
And why did we go from one strain to now having a full portfolio of 26 strains?
Flavor. It's just what clients want. You need to have like multiple strains for what they want. So we work pretty closely with all of our clients. We're basically like, hey, what do you guys want to see? What's in your evergreen portfolio that you want to see? And then what are some outliers that are just new stuff that you're not necessarily running every once in a while? So the sales team works with the clients. The clients kind of tell us what they want. And then we look at like, okay, data historically, how do those genetics run in this type of environment? And so it's a blend of all of that stuff to come to like, okay, this is what we're going to run.
And yields can be all over the place depending on the extraction line too. I think solventless is, one of the most obvious examples. Like some strains yield really well to solventless, some yield, almost zero, just a fraction of what you would hope. Can you talk about the importance of strain selection for leaf?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed it. It's so like just each extraction line performs differently. So a strain that does really well in hydrocarbon doesn't necessarily mean that it does well in solventless. So solventless takes a particular type of head type off of the resin glands, and you'll get strains that do really well through solventless that don't do well in hydrocarbon, and vice versa across the board, right? So it just comes down to, like, we've been doing this for almost 10 years now. We've been collecting data over those 10 years. So we pretty much know what does well and what doesn't. And sometimes the ones that don't do well, you do want to have them in the portfolio because the terp profile is amazing and people do want it. And so there's like a real reason why you would do it. But like yield wise, we really try and just pick stuff that we know is going to yield well on a cultivation level out of the field, but then also what's going to happen once it goes into extraction. Because farms that are growing for flower and farms that are growing for concentrates are two different businesses. It's two different models. And so we focus on the latter because that's our core competency.
And last question for you, Mike. If you're an investor listening to this and you're saying this sounds like a cool story, but how is that going to change the financials? Like, how does this benefit the business? How would you summarize the impact to LEEF from the first successful harvest we have, and hopefully now we're just weeks away from a second harvest? How does that help the financial profile?
Yeah, without talking about like direct numbers, it really just comes down to we're seeing higher margins. Is really what it comes down to. We've reduced our cost of goods dramatically from what we're currently purchasing, or what we were purchasing material from, to something substantially lower than that. And so that comes out at the bottom line. And then I guess in addition to that, it's like all these extra efficiency pickups that we're getting out of it. So like we're typically seeing, and making these numbers up, but 7% to distillate when we're running all these different strains from different farms. And when we do it ourselves, we're seeing 9%. So it's like there's a 2% pickup there. And when you factor that out across how much material we run, which is a lot, we run between 30 and 50,000 pounds of dry material a month. It ends up adding up dramatically. And so if you do that across all 3 extraction lines, it starts to add up. So the main thing, I think, the difference from a financial standpoint is that it's all bottom line impact, in my opinion. It's like really
lower input costs equal higher margins.
I learned that in middle school.
Well, awesome, Mike. I appreciate the update.
Cool. Thanks, guys.